You're never a superstar in your own city or your own family. I've got all these young 20-year-olds that won't even think about doing this business. We're it says we're live, so I don't know. Well, I'm waiting for Christopher. We're if you guys can see me, we're
Michelle,
go
we're
ahead.
live.
Hello. Okay,
We're live.
I'm confused. I'm confused because I can't see Ty. Is that fine? Ty, can you hear me?
I can, and I can see you.
Okay, there we go. Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to sm90. This is so exciting. This is Superstar Monday, and I could not think of a better superstar to have on our call today than my really, really good friend, Ty Bennet. And I would not be here literally without you, Ty, because you really inspired me when I first came into the company.
Well, Michelle, you're doing amazing things, and I think anybody who knows you knows that you're the kind of person that just gets after it, and that's one of the things I've always loved is just watching you run. You just go fast, and it makes it fun. So thanks for having me on.
Oh, well, thank you. So I wanted just to get in, and I think Christopher, I've got a text saying that they can't see Ty, and I really want them to be able to see Ty Bennet. But anyway, Ty Bennet, I remember going out to Utah, out to the company, and you actually did the tour in the distribution center. And I was absolutely blown away. And I wanted some of the new people just to let them just to get some of your good cookies, like how you talked about how big the facility was and the vision of the company. Can we start there? And then I want to get into how you started this business at 21 years old. But I wanted to let people know how powerful the distribution center is.
Well, yeah, I live in Utah, so I live not far from where New Skin is, and when we started the business, my brother Scott and I, when I say we, that's he brought me into the business, and both of us were living in Provo, going to school at BYU, which is a college just up the road. And so we were close to New Skin, and we had a chance to go and see the facilities and get to know people at the corporate offices and learn really all of what's there and kind of the magnitude of everything that takes place there, the research and the distribution center and the network operations center, just all the behind the scenes that I think a lot of people don't know even exist. And so as we started having people fly out to Utah to come see it, it was just so powerful to be able to see it and to see who you're partnered with and what's happening. And so we would do tours quite often, and people fly in monthly still to see the facilities. And New Skin is an incredible company. I mean, from the top to the bottom, it really is full of amazing people. They have a big vision and a huge amount of support in terms of infrastructure that's there to make sure that, you know, your business, Michelle, and anybody else's runs anywhere in the world.
Well, that was a big impression, you know, on me when I first got there. But I've got so many people. Mafalda is calling in from Portugal. She's a superstar. She's 21 years old. Paul, we've got an enormous amount of leaders now that are, you know, really, really young and 21 years old. And I wanted you to be able to connect with them. You know, that they're young, but they've got a vision. They've got dreams. What was it like coming in to this business at 21 years old?
Yeah, so my brother Scott, he was a lot older and wiser. He was 22, I think, when we started, and I was 21. We were both young entrepreneurs. I think there's a couple of things that go into it. I mean, the challenge is the same for everybody, right? I mean, it's getting in front of people and talking to people. I think sometimes when you're younger, your network's a little bit smaller, just because you haven't had a chance to expand that as much. You know, I think social media helps that cause in a huge way, right? It gives you another outlet, another avenue to reach people and to be able to share in incredible ways. But I think for me, some of the challenges was the biggest were in getting people to take me seriously as I talked to people to get them to buy into me, to know that I had a vision of where I was going to go. And And so learning how to communicate that credibility, I think, was crucial. And as we started to do that, as we got better, as we kept learning and growing, we were able to build an incredible business. And it takes hard work, and it takes a constant attitude of learning and growing every day. I think that's a huge piece of any business, really, but especially in this business, to be able to get better and to be able to access leaders like yourself and others who you can learn from on a regular basis is huge. I think that's one of the coolest parts of this business, especially if you're starting when you're young, is the mentorship that you can get from people who have been successful not only in this business but other businesses, and you can learn from them and grow together, where you have access and opportunity to interact with so many incredible people. That's one of the things I love most.
That's exciting. When you were just 21, did you even comprehend at the, because I know people, we talked about goal setting this morning on our training, and did you know then that you would have a multi-million-dollar group in volume within just a couple years? What were your goals at 21 years old? So
I think it took a little bit of time for that vision to grow. At first when I saw it, I thought, this is a cool opportunity. This is unique. And I bought into the idea. But one of the things that I think was unique about our situation is all of the people that we worked with in our upline were all making literally millions of dollars doing this. And so pretty quickly, that was the vision we saw, because that's what they were doing and that's what they were presenting. And so pretty quickly I started to buy into it. I thought we could go do this. But I also then started to realize the work ethic that matched that vision, because I think sometimes in this business, there's a disconnect between, I love that you spent this morning talking about goal setting and putting those strategies and things in place, because honestly, to make millions of dollars doing this or anything else, it's going to take $1 million work ethic, and you've got to build to that. I think a lot of times we don't come into it with that kind of frame of mind. We think the opportunity is there, and that's what's unique. I mean, you think about different professions, the truth is a teacher is an incredible profession, but the dynamics of that business don't allow them to get rich. Like, it just isn't going to happen, right? This business has the dynamics in place to be able to do that, but then you also have to learn how to lead people. You have to learn how to sell. You have to learn how to connect. You have to learn how to train, just all the pieces that come into place. And that's a gradual process. But yeah, I think pretty quickly, I mean, I remember at age 21 writing a goal that I wanted to make my first million by age 25. That's a pretty big goal when you think. But in the end, we made it happen. And so yeah, I think we were able to build a pretty big vision quickly, and part of that had to do with the people we associated with and the vision that they were living and working towards as well.
I love what you said, the soundbite, $1 million work ethic. A lot of times people want the $1 million paycheck, but they're not willing to put the time in.
Yeah. I mean, this business takes a lot of work, just like anything else. I think it's fun, I mean, it's not like manual labor work, but it's exhausting work still, I can think of days that I can literally being on the phone just hours and hours and hours and hours, just talking to more and more people constantly until you felt like you had no voice and you were just exhausted, right? But that's the fun part of the business, just chasing it and finding new leaders and being able to work with great people.
And I like that you said you surrounded yourself with the successful people. I know, Lon Wardrop and Nathan Ricks was right there in your ear all the time.
Yeah. And I think I count that as a huge blessing. We worked with some incredible people, but you also have, beyond that, like, you have access to so many great people, right? I mean, through Facebook Live, through trainings, through conference calls, all the things that take place. I mean, you're learning from $1 million earners all around the world. If you just plug into all of what, is offered through Nu Skin and through just all the training that people offer. And so that's a unique thing in and of itself. Whether you work with them directly or you have access to them, you do get a chance to learn from a lot of incredible people.
Yes, I guess if you want it badly enough, you find the people, you find the training. And
absolutely.
I remember you telling this story and how you recruited Wes Blatter. Well, the Team Elite trip was in Barcelona, and so Wes was there, and the Spanish are absolutely crazy. They're absolutely unbelievable. and we just put a last minute, little get together in Barcelona, and we told Wes, can you come meet some of the team? And within an hour, there were 60 people there waiting to meet Wes. And, Wes is, so flatline that he was just blown away by the enthusiasm and the excitement. But you recruited Wes Blatter, is that right?
Yeah, he was somebody who, we didn't have a close relationship. His daughter Esty is actually my age, so he was a family friend of ours.
Can you tell that story? How you would call him? I love this story, and I want the young people to hear the persistence that you had.
Well, if I even take it before that, I remember honestly the first conversation, or the most vivid conversation I ever had with Wes. When I was 14 years old, I met Esty at like a church function, a dance kind of thing. And I thought she was cute and I liked her. So the next day I called her and Wes answered the phone. I remember this distinctly. I was standing in my kitchen. My mom was kind of listening to this conversation. And I said, "Is Esty there?" And Wes said, "Who's this?" And I said, "Ty Bennet." And he goes, "Is that Tim and Sally Bennett's son?" Because he knew my parents. And I said, "Yeah." And Wes said, "What's your intention with my daughter?" And I just laughed and I said, "We met last night at this thing." And he went on to ask me, I mean, Wes, this is true. He went on to ask me about my grades, if I used drugs, if I smoked. I mean, like just this intense interview. And at the end of it, he said, "Well, Esty's not home. You can call back later." So that was like the vivid memory I had of Wes, but he was a very successful entrepreneur. He was in real estate. And as we thought about who are the great business people we know, Lon Wardrop used to live in that area where we lived in Colorado, and that's how we knew Lon. And so we kind of mutually said, okay, who are all these people that we went to church with, that were in our community? Who do we know? And Wes was on that list. And so we started reaching out to Wes. He really wasn't responsive. We would call Esty and say, "Will you get your dad to call us back?" And that didn't really work either. I think it probably annoyed him more than anything else. And finally, we got him to sit down and talk to us and Lon to look at the business. And that led to more conversations. And eventually, Wes, part of why we realized the power of the facilities in Utah is because Wes flew out to Utah to see it before he joined. And that was a huge part of him buying into the business and seeing it. It was multiple invitations. It wasn't just one for sure. But Wes, I count him as one of my best friends and an incredible person, incredible leader. That obviously the persistence paid off, right, in that situation. But yeah, he's a character too. He's fun. I think my first experience with Wes, the first time we went on a Team Elite trip in Europe. First time I think he had been in Europe. Unfortunately, he drank non-potable water and was extremely sick through that experience. And he just always laughs and says he's just a good old boy from Montana and just didn't know any better. But I think it's fun that now he has a business all around the world and gets to work with and interact with so many great people.
I think he's a $10 million money earner. I think.
Yeah,
probably.
He's done incredible things.
Yeah, so a couple of things that I heard you say that would help the young group is that you were 21, and at the time, Lon told you to go out and find really great people. And here was Wes Blatter that was making over $1 million a year selling real estate. So you, because you had your own vision that you went after, because you knew what Nu Skin was all about, and you had the confidence to go after somebody really, really successful. Was that intimidating at all?
I mean, yes and no. Like, I think I was just young enough and dumb enough to not even realize it should be intimidating. It
Yeah.
probably
Right.
should have been more intimidating. I just was trying to talk to whoever I could talk to, and so we called and we tried to make headway. But I think part of it was, I think one of the things I notice a lot with whether you're young or old, there's a lot of people who will reach out to somebody and you don't get a response and they're like, "This isn't working," and they're pretty quick to quit, right?
Right.
That really was never a thought process or an option for me. Like, whether Wes did the business or not, that didn't, we'd love to have him on board, but that didn't make a difference on whether I was going to do it. And so I think that's part of the vision of really buying in and saying, okay, I'm going to do this, and being clear about it so that you go after it.
Oh, that's interesting. And going back to that $1 million work ethic, just tell us in the beginning, just, you talked about you talking so much, you were hoarse, but what is it like to be able, what do you have to put in to become a millionaire by the time you were 25?
Well, I started the business part-time. I was going to school full-time. So, we would carve out time in our days that we could reach out to people. And I remember my brother and I would set aside, like, we've got 2 hours this day. And he and I literally in our apartment with those 2 hours, we were just calling people. That was it. Like, he'd call somebody and I'd listen for a minute, and then I'd call somebody and he'd like, we were just going back and forth. And uh, I think even if you start part-time, you've got to put in a full-time effort, right? So we were finding every nook and cranny of time in our calendar that we could go after it. And then that transitioned into a full-time experience. But when I say full-time, the first, couple years when we were full-time, this wasn't like a 40-hour week job, right? This was, sometimes, I don't know, 60, 80 hours, depending on what was going on. And when we'd travel and go meet with teams and that kind of thing, once our team started to grow, it was nonstop. You'd show up somewhere for a day and a half and you were meeting with people what felt like 24 hours a day, pretty much, just constantly trying to help people move their business forward. So I think I was lucky or blessed, or had a great example of seeing that with people, our upline people that we worked with, just how focused and how consistent and how much time they put into it. I think there's tools and things now, with social media and other things, where you can reach people in ways that we couldn't, where you can leverage things just like what you're doing now,
Yeah.
that didn't exist, 16 years ago. So I think that there's things that you can do even smarter and faster now, but it still takes a lot of effort. It still takes that concentrated focus.
Yes, I know the first time I interviewed you, it was a phone call. We didn't have, when I built my business, we didn't have
Mhm.
this social media and, video interviews. It's powerful. What now, because of you putting the time in and building your business, now it's allowed you to have time freedom where you could do whatever you want, whenever you want, and you become a professional, inspirational motivator, speaker. And you have, how does it feel being an author, published your own book? What's that experience all been like for you?
Well, in the process of building our business, I think everybody has certain dreams that they want to pursue, right? We have uh, all sorts of things. A good friend of our mutual friend of ours, Steve Weber, loves hunting and fish, and he was hunting and fishing guides, and so once his business started to become successful, he's been able to do that at a different level than he's ever been able to do it before in his life. That's awesome. I think that's what, to me, this what this business was all about, is to build freedom and what that looks like. And for some people, to be honest, that means building the business even bigger. Like, they just want to pursue it and to go do that. I fell in love with the process of speaking and motivating and inspiring people, and so I started pursuing that. In the process of that, I've written 4 books on leadership and communication, and I now get to speak to companies all over the world. Some of the biggest brands in the world have hired me to come and train their leadership teams. Companies like AT&T and Remax and Home Depot, and all sorts of incredible companies, some within this industry, but most not in this industry. I'm speaking to American Express tomorrow, and all sorts of different groups. And for me, it's just a passion. I enjoy doing it. It's fun, and it feels like I am making a difference. And for me, it's fulfilling and feels like something I'm supposed to pursue as part of my purpose. So I love the fact that I've been able to do that.
That's awesome. And I wanted to ask you, sorry, I just got, I'm in my car and I just got, anyway, sorry. So I I didn't make it home fast enough, guys. So the show must go on. So I'm in my car. So anyway, can you say that this opportunity was absolutely life-changing? Because I want the new people and the young people to hear that this is a life-changing opportunity.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's, if you think about, for me, I started at 21. In my 20s, I was able to build a multi-million-dollar business. The time frame, the growth and the connections that came from that are fantastic. But then that also taught me a skill set in terms of speaking and training that I've now used in my 30s, and I'm not even 36. So the last 5 years, I've been able to build another multi-million-dollar business in a different industry because of the platform that I built with Nu Skin as well. So yeah, absolutely life-changing.
And what was the vision way back at the beginning with Blake and Sandy, the vision of this company, and where do you think this company's gonna, where we're headed now?
Well, yeah, Blake and Steve Lunn and Sandy Tillotson, the founders, are all very good friends of mine. I've gotten to know them well. Steve Lunn and I traveled. My wife and I went with his wife and Steve to Israel last 2 summers ago, and just incredible people. People that I greatly admire. When they started, I think what drives them is they wanted to make a difference in the world. They wanted to be a force for good. And I think they've done that in huge ways. But I also think as part of that, they realized to be able to make a huge impact, they need to be able to grow this business to be the biggest in this industry. And I think they're still pursuing that vision. I think they're still on track and still moving in that direction. I mean, you look at Nu Skin, and I think they're the 7th biggest company in direct sales in the world, but growing and moving forward quickly, and I think they're going to continue to do that. Blake and Steve and Sandy, I think, are unique people in the world, but very unique in this industry. And they've got their head on straight. They are focused on helping people succeed, and to do that, creating incredible products and great opportunity. And so I think they're amazing people to follow that vision from.
Excellent. I remember another story that inspired me, and because a lot of us, you're talking about being on the phone, calls, and not just pursuing it and just be on it. And a lot of us, I like what you said, that you didn't need Wes Blatter. Yes, Wes Blatter would have been great, but you didn't spend all the time with him. You were off working with other people as well. And so many of us get tied down to just trying to beg people to do this business and having the wrong people in the business. So I want you to tell the story about when you walked in on a first class airplane that time.
Oh,
do you remember that story? I love that story.
Yeah, I do know what story you're talking about. I think I've got too many airplane stories at this point because, if you fly a lot, you have funny experiences.
It's the one who to recruit and who not to recruit.
Yeah. So this was a couple of years ago. I was flying from Salt Lake City to Oakland, which is a San Francisco Bay Area, quick, painless. It's about an hour-and-a-half flight. Well, Delta has a hub in Salt Lake City. And so I fly Delta basically exclusively because I fly for them so often. I get upgraded to first class virtually every time I fly. It's kind of a nice perk, right? So I was upgraded that day flying to Oakland. I was in seat 4B, and I came on the plane. I sat down, I found my seat. I wasn't really paying attention. I think I was the first person who came on the plane. And as other people came on the plane, they were just going finding their seats. And all of a sudden this gentleman stops next to me and he goes, "Get up, you're in my seat." And he said it aggressively. He goes, "Get up, you're in my seat." And I looked up and I went, "Wow, what seat are you in?" And he goes, he goes, "This is first class. Do you realize this is first class? You're in my seat." And I was like,
"Oh my God."
And so I said, "Yes, I realize this is first class. I'm also seated in first class. What seat are you in?" And then he asked me what I still believe is the dumbest question I've ever heard in my entire life. He goes, "Did you pay to sit in first class, or did you just get upgraded?" Because I paid for my first class seat.
Oh my goodness.
So I answered him. I said, "I got upgraded, which really stinks for you because that means I paid a lot less money for the exact same seat." And I said, what seat are you in? And he goes, I'm in 4C. And I thought, you have got to be kidding me. I said, this is 4B. This is my seat. 4C is right there across the aisle. And without any hesitation, any apology or anything, he just turns and he sits down in the seat. And by this point, I was ticked. I mean, this guy was a jerk. And I looked at him and I go, you know what? You would suck at what I do. And he goes, what? And I said, I didn't stutter. I said, you would suck at what I do. And he goes, why is that? And I said, because you're not good with people. I said, you're horrible with people. I said, just be nice. It's not that hard. And he looked at me with this shock look like no one had ever told him he was a jerk before. And I actually was sharing that story last week on stage, and this woman in the front row goes, no, his ex-wife told him he was a jerk. I'm sure of it. To me, that's the thing. That guy, that's not the guy you want in your business, right? I mean, you want people that you can enjoy. You want people that you can interact with. You want people that are good with people, that are fun. And so I always look at it as, I don't want the jerk in 4C, right? I mean, that's kind of how I look at it. I want people who I can enjoy doing the business with. And
I'm having technical difficulties.
oh, can you hear me? Michelle, can you hear me? Are we there?
Oh, there. Yeah, we're here. I couldn't.
Okay.
I went dead for a minute.
Okay. Well, no, I was just saying, I always look at it. You don't want the jerk in 4C in your business, right? You want good people that you can enjoy, and unfortunately, some of those people show up at times, but they usually leave because I think we attract good people.
That's funny. I know that they call it cruise worthy.
Yeah.
The term cruise worthy. That's what you're explaining. They said if you're trapped on a boat somewhere and it breaks down, you don't want to be on the boat with them, as somebody from 4C. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. And the jerk from 4C shows up all over the place, unfortunately. Like, they're out there, but I think, we find good people and you work hard, and that's what this business is about.
Yes, I've met so many wonderful people all over the world. This company, I think, has taken me to over 20 some countries. It's been absolutely life-changing for me.
That's cool.
So we're almost out of time. I just love you to death. What would be the last thing that you could say to all the young, like Mafalda and Paul and all the young groups over in Europe and here in America?
Well, this business works if you don't quit, right? I mean, that's the only thing. The only way you really fail at this business is if you quit. Because I can give you an example of people who took years and years to do it, and other people like Michelle who did it very quickly. In the end, everybody's got their own journey, right? So yours may be faster than others or slower than others, but in the end, it's your journey, and if you get there, you get there, right? So I definitely, I would not quit. The other thing is, I think you have to work as hard on yourself as you do on this business. I think this is a business of leadership and influence. And so you have to learn those skills to be able to communicate, to be able to read people, to be able to ask questions, to be able to present information, to be able to cause people to buy into you. How do you build that charisma and that connection with people? And those are all skills that you can learn, but it takes work, right? And so one, I applaud you for being on this, watching this right now, because that's what you're doing. You're learning and you're training and you're wanting to grow, and just continue to pursue that just as much as you're pursuing the business.
Well said. And I love every Monday, your Monday morning mantra. I love that. I love listening to that. And because of social media, I feel so close to you still. And I haven't seen you in quite a while, but I see your beautiful children and your beautiful wife on Facebook almost every day. So I just appreciate you doing this for us, Ty, because it really means
Absolutely.
a lot. Because you really did inspire me. I remember watching, thinking, oh my gosh, it was so big and vast, but how you're so calm and completely unlike me, because I'm a little hyper, and you were just so, I mean, it was methodical and it was professional. And I remember all of your stories, so I appreciate what you've done for me in my life too.
Well, you're awesome, Michelle. Keep doing what you're doing, and thanks for having me on. This was fun.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Ty Bennet. And thanks for everyone in the sm90 community for listening today. So thanks so much, Ty. Thank you.
Okay, see ya.
Okay, bye.